The Saab 9.3's place in the world was once quite clear. You bought one if you couldn't stretch to an Audi, a BMW or a Mercedes. The latest model has loftier aspirations, and Saab is being empowered to shoot for the stars. It's still early days yet, but the signs look encouraging for this revised 9.3.
It was only with the launch of the second generation Saab 9.3 in 2002 that the Swedish maker really got serious about trying to poach BMW 3 Series, Audi A4 and Mercedes C-Class customers. Now what actually happened was that this car ended up scrapping with those models' lesser competitors. Models like Jaguar's X-Type, Volvo's S60 and Lexus's IS, not such a lucrative market. It may be that it will take a completely new design to really give the Germans sleepless nights, but in the meantime this revised 9.3 represents a useful step forward. If you owned one of the original second generation 9.3 models, then you'll notice the front lights and the grille arrangement, but there are actually over 2,000 other changes, all aimed at giving this car a nudge up market, and the results are not totally unconvincing. Now Saab has given the 9.3 a welcome shot in the arm with some big engineering steps forward with this model. As well as the 180 brake horsepower TTID 1.9 litre diesel that I'm driving here, there's also the option of an XWD cross-wheel drive model, which gives you four-wheel drive grip, a Haldex differential deploying power to the rear as and when it deems necessary. Now this should forever solve the rather wayward power deployment that used to afflict the more powerful versions of the 9.3. As well as this impressive turbo diesel, which uses a twin-stage turbo to produce all that power, there are a couple of more conventional diesel options. A 1.9 litre 16-valve unit with 150 brake horsepower and a cheaper 8-valve unit which serves up 120 brake horsepower. Petrol engines, well, there's an entry-level 122 brake horsepower 1.8i, a turbocharged 1.8T, and an all-aluminium 2-litre petrol engine that develops either 175 or 210 brake horsepower. Now the big banger in the lineup is the 280 brake horsepower 2.8 litre V6, which makes 60 from rest in just 5.9 seconds on the way to a top speed of 152 miles an hour. For the greens, there's also biopower models which serve up a bioethanol E85 mix, and you can get these in either 1.8T or 2 litre T forms. The driving experience, well, that hasn't changed all that much, which means that it's as good as an Audi or a Mercedes, if not quite as sharp as a BMW 3 Series. The ride and handling compromise, though, is well judged, although the more powerful models really highlight the need for all-wheel drive that Saab has rather belatedly woken up to. Inside, the comfort is exemplary thanks to great seats and a multi-adjustable driving position. The front end of the latest 9.3 isn't quite so outre as that of its bigger brother, the 9.5. The so-called Dame Edna spectacles chromed areas around the headlamps are thankfully absent, and in their place is a much cleaner look with a set of LED running lights that sit above the headlamp pods like illuminated eyebrows. The clamshell bonnet is a deft touch, not only drawing on Saab's history but also visually widening the front of the car. All external rubbing strips have been removed for a cleaner look, and the saloon and convertible adopt the smoked white rear light clusters look that's used on this Sportwagen estate. It's the Sportwagen estate model that I've opted for here, a car that, unlike many in the class, does actually offer some serious carrying capacity, and I speak as someone who's carted one of those huge upright freezers to the dump in one. Now, you get 419 litres of luggage space with all these seats in place, and a whopping 1,273 litres with all the seats folded down. You also get this helpful ski hatch for long items and this useful recessed floor here for storing valuables out of sight of prying eyes and putting muddy stuff so that it doesn't mess everything else up. Rivals say you can't have good looks and carrying capacity in a car like this. The 9.3 proves them wrong. Prices start at around £19,000 and rise up to around £35,000. So there's a small but significant saving on comparable premium German rivals. 3 body styles are offered: Saloon, Convertible and Sportwagen Estate, which with various trim levels and all those engines makes for a massive range. All come pretty well equipped with alloy wheels, twin front, side and curtain airbags, dual zone climate control and a 7-speaker CD stereo. Now Saab tends to score pretty well when it comes to cost of ownership, with decent if not spectacular residuals and pretty low insurance groupings when you consider the amount of horsepower on offer. Probably the most interesting models in the range are the biopower ones. Saab's Trionic engine management system just calculates whether you're running on normal unleaded petrol or bioethanol fuel, or indeed any conceivable mix of the two, and adjusts the ignition accordingly for optimum engine efficiency. Now bioethanol has a higher octane rating than normal petrol, about 115, so it burns faster, you go quicker, it's more efficient. Saab estimate a kind of 20% increase in brake horsepower and about a 16% increase in torque. Now biopower models apart, you'll output between 150 and 160 grams per kilometre of CO2 if you opt for one of the diesel models, and between 190 and 240 grams per kilometre of CO2 if you go for one of the petrols. Fuel economy, well, you should in the diesels hover around the 50 miles to the gallon mark on the combined cycle, even if you go for the 180 brake horsepower version that I'm driving here, which makes 60 in around 8 seconds, so that's pretty effective. If you go for one of the petrols, then that figure drops to around 35 miles to the gallon. There's little doubt that Saab has worked very hard to improve this 9.3, and that it's very close to the point where it can consider taking on premium German rivals on their own terms. Sleeker looks, a wider range of turbodiesel engines and the availability of 4-wheel drive models that will permit more powerful power plants, all these things have helped. But does this make the 9.3 a car you should consider right now? The biopower models, most certainly. Also, this 180 brake horsepower TTID diesel is interesting, but priced quite highly. In fact, I'd argue that the 9.3 represents a more convincing proposition the less you spend, with the entry-level petrol 1.8T and 2-litre T models and the entry-level diesels really offering a great deal for your money. Trying one before buying something apparently more prestigious could turn out to be a canny move.